Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be my best books of 2024 video, meaning my favorite books that I read in 2024. I'm doing top 10. That always seems to work fairly well for me. Occasionally I'll have like a few more than that I want to do honorable mentions for, but 10 usually is a good number, whether I've read 200 books or a little over 100. I enjoyed putting this together, and I'll say a little bit about what was so great about each book, and I have ranked them 1 through 10, where 1 is my most favoritist, tippy top, most enjoyable book of the year. So let's start with The Spirit Bares Its Teeth. This is by Andrew Joseph White. This one got to be number 10 instead of farther up the list because it is a very melancholy and dark story and anxiety inducing, and it kind of brings up some things that are upsetting to me. I wouldn't go all the way to triggering, but things that are very personal to me. Autistic people, especially misogyny affected people, who especially in the olden days, up till pretty recently, getting locked into institutions and abused in said institutions. So this is like a fantasy take on that in a alternate 1800s UK, and our main character is not only autistic and a trans man, he is also able to see into the spirit world because he has violet eyes, because he is not recognized as a man by the rest of the society. Despite being highborn, he is not allowed to practice as a seer into the other world. He basically punished for having that ability in the first place, but also for being a trans man. And also for being autistic. But in addition to that, it's also cathartic. All misogyny affected people stand together against the patriarchy type story. It gave me all the sad feels, but it also gave me all the good feels. So that is why out of 120 books it made top 10. A Game of Swallows. This one I read in October or November, I think. It's a graphic. It's not a novel, it's a non-fiction, but it is the story of the author when she was a child, sheltering in her apartment complex in a single room that was the most stable when the entire neighborhood was being, I'm not sure if bombed is the right word, but like explosive rockets were being set off in the area, and about all her neighbors who came together to comfort each other and to be safe in this room, and how they took care of the 2 kids who were in the situation with them through all of that, and also like told the backstory of each of the neighbors and how they had been affected by the Lebanese Civil War. So well done and beautiful. Number 8, Nigeria Jones by Ibi Zoboi. I really like this one for how it examined a lot of different facets of what it means to be a black woman in black liberation spaces versus in white women feminist spaces, and specifically does a lot of unpacking of women's labor being exploited and their contributions not just ignored but covered up by men in power. So I thought that was awesome, and I highly recommend that, especially for that subject matter, but it's also an interesting and enjoyable YA contemporary. 7, The Bright Mirror. This is a collection that I actually did not have recommended to me or find on social media at all. I just searched Solarpunk in the Kindle store and came across this one because part of the title is it's like a collection of Solarpunk by women across the world. I really liked seeing the representation of women from these various different countries who had different ideas of what Solarpunk could look like. and what a future where people have started taking care of the earth, either before or after a huge disaster happens, what that could look like. And they were really beautiful and hope-giving, and so I really appreciated that, and kind of introduced me to the genre as far as like lots of different examples of it. I had only read a couple examples before that, so I really appreciated that, and really got me going into wanting to write my own Solarpunk, so I'm really happy about that. The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. This one has brief mentions of some highly triggering content, so I especially recommend checking those for this one. But I just really enjoyed it. The characters really spoke to me, and I really liked a lot of them in like a lot of ways. I just had a delightful time. What's a good way to describe it? It is about a closeted Latina lesbian who was outed at her previous school and changes schools, and it's a lot about her relationship with her brother and her mom, and those are really sweet. Number 5, Sweet Surrender. This is an erotica that is about a main character who has had a lot of trauma previously in his life, and he ends up meeting a demon in his dreams and then summoning that demon to be his bodyguard, to rescue him from the people who are trying to drag him back to the past where he was abused. And they fall in love and they have lots of spicy times. And it's just a very sweet, comforting read. Number 4, Redemptor. I thoroughly enjoyed Redemptor. I think that the first one made top 10 in whatever year I read that in, and this one lived up to my personal hype from the first book in the duology. It explored more of the things that I was most interested in, more characters, and explored the characters we got introduced to before and didn't have enough time to really get to know them in the first book, because there's a large squad of main characters, but I really like getting to know them more in this one. The themes were amazing. Themes of not letting guilt over the past of either your personal harm that you've caused or harm that your ancestors have caused overwhelm you so that you don't act in the present to prevent further harm or do good. And also lots of beautiful descriptions of clothing. I really like the clothing in this duology. 3, A Shadow Crown. You might have thought this was going to be number 1, but I have a couple more that were amazing. So we're getting to the top. We've now entered the top 3, so prepare yourself. A Shadow Crown is the second book in the quartet of the Halfling Saga by Melissa Blair, and I really love the second book. The first one really drew me in, and then the second one, the author added a lot of disability representation that was really special to me, and really dived into those themes and also further explored the themes from the first book. And I really like the furthering of the relationships in this one. Both the romantic relationships and the platonic relationships were just going really well, as far as like being to my taste. Yeah, I was very happy about that. I have put off reading the third book until the fourth one comes out, which actually it might be out now, so I need to like get on that. But I'm nervous about it because I'm so emotionally invested. I'm like, what if it hurts my feelings? Number 2 is The Magic Fish, which I haven't talked about a lot. I pretty much just talked about it in the wrap-up when I read it, but it made me cry like sob because the ending was so beautiful. It is a story about stories, the beauty of stories, the meaningfulness of stories, about how different cultures interact with stories in their own way, about how as a story is passed down through the generations, different generations will take what history gave them and their predecessors gave them and will change the story to reflect or influence the society that they currently live in. Oh, so good. I love those themes so much. Meanwhile, the main character is gay and is nervous about coming out to his mom. Number 1 is from my favorite genre, which is romantasy. And I read it in December. It was one of the last books I read of the year. And I'm really glad I finally got around to it. It was A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows. Exactly what I wanted. Also, it helped me get out of a writing slump. I was in a writing slump because I'm writing a romantasy and I was like, I don't know what to do. I need to read a romantasy to get inspired. And so I opened up this book and then I had a hard time putting it down because it's really freaking good, pretty fast paced, and like exactly what I wanted. It was excellently timed. It is fresh in my mind, so kind of like award season, things that come out near award season tend to get awards. I did just read this and it is this type of award season, but also it made me really, really happy. And when I was looking over all of these other books that I read this year, I don't think any of the other ones made me quite as like kick my little feet happy as A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. So that is my number 1 book of 2024. Thank you so much for watching. So like, you could tell me any kind of like superlative book that was like the most something for you of 2024. I would love to hear about it. Also, I'm tearing up a little bit because I love books so much. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. If you'd like to leave an emoji, how about a flower? Bye!